He's the happy conservative warrior, Mike Gallagher, from your trusted conservative TV network, Salem News Channel, and broadcasting across hundreds of radio stations nationwide. Here's Mike.
Friday before Memorial Day edition of the Mike Gallagher Show. I'm Joey Hudson in for Mike today. Glad to be with you as we head into the weekend. A lot to cover today. It's one of those days where you just kind of sift through all the breaking news and try to decide, okay, what's important? Because we only have a short period of time together today, and it's impossible to cover everything. And, of course, one thing that I always love to do on Friday, and the reason I like to sit in for Mike on Friday, is I have a tradition of every Friday is Free Speech Friday. So, of course, I want to hear from you as well, and it's real easy to join the conversation today on the Mike Gallagher Show. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453 is how your voice can be heard. Give us a call. Teresa will put you in queue. We'll talk as time permits. Of course, your comments are always welcome on the MyPillow text line. And you can email me directly, joey@joeyhudson.com. So here are the things that we're going to try to cover today. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt declared that the Democrat Party is more out of tune than ever, as every single Democrat this week voted against President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Every single Democrat. Unfortunately, a couple of Republicans did too. We're going to kind of break down some of the behind the scenes of what took place this week, because it has been a busy week in Washington. They pulled an all-nighter Wednesday in order to get the bill passed early yesterday morning. One of my home state representatives, Ralph Norman, earlier in the week had said that he was going to be a no unless certain things could take place. He had some requests, and we have learned that he got most of those requests. It made the bill even better. So we're talking about that. Also, the Department of Homeland Security is eliminating the student visa program at Harvard University due to their, quote, pro-terrorist conduct at campus events. Now, on the surface, you may think, well, so what? This is big bucks for Harvard and a lot of other schools, too, because these students, these international students, are paying some pretty hefty tuition to attend these schools. Harvard needs them. They have just been ignoring the Trump administration's request for additional information on some of these campus terrorists. We're going to jump into that as well. And we're learning more details about the horrific shooting of 2 Israeli embassy staffers outside of D.C.'s Capitol Jewish Museum. Officials saying that the suspect actually went back and fired more rounds to make sure these 2 young people were dead. They were lying on the ground, had already been shot. He fires additional rounds, according to authorities. We'll jump into that, too. And in my home state of South Carolina, the Palmetto State, a death row inmate, a guy who was convicted of murdering both of his parents, he basically beat them to death with a hammer. He's asking the court to relieve his attorney and to strike all of his challenges because he's ready to be put to death. He doesn't want to fight anymore. And a little later, we're going to be hearing about hazing on college campuses. So we've got a lot to cover. First off, breaking news, though, the Supreme Court has upheld President Donald Trump's removal of 2 Democrat appointees from federal boards. Now, the 2 that are in question here is the National Labor Relations Board member Gwen Wilcox and Merit Systems Protection Board member Kathy Harris. These are 2 Democrat appointees appointed by Joe Biden. In the early days of the Trump administration, they were a couple of many who were relieved of their duties by the Trump administration. Now, that's sort of a given, isn't it? If you're appointed by a president I would think that you would serve at that president's pleasure. If that president leaves office, then I think you would kind of assume that you're probably going to lose your job. Because a president needs people who are loyal to him and to his agenda. But these two ladies, of course, sued the Trump administration. They won initially in the lower courts. The appeals courts even sided with them. But the U.S. Supreme Court is saying, nope, a president does have the right to remove political appointees like this. The issue confronting the judges is whether these board members, again, both appointed by Joe Biden, can stay in their jobs while this larger fight continues. The lower court initially had said they could keep their jobs temporarily. The Supreme Court saying, no, you can't continue to work during your appeal. And of course, they are going to appeal this, I'm sure. But isn't this just sort of fundamental? That if you're a political appointee, and maybe they don't consider themselves a political appointee, but how can a president, how can a new incoming administration implement their agenda if they have appointees from previous administrations whom they know will not be loyal to their cause? 800-655-MIKE, 1-800-655-6453. Love to get your comments on this. Should a president be allowed to just wholesale fire people, upper-level management? I mean, these are two key positions. Or should they have protections? You know, it's kind of interesting because we've watched Elon Musk and Doge these first couple of months go through these agencies, look at their budgets, look at their personnel. There's been a lot of people who've lost their jobs, and I'm sorry for that. I don't want anyone to lose their job. But how do we ever reduce government? How do we reduce the size of government if an administration can't make those hard decisions and decide, okay, this agency has too many employees. We don't need this group of employees. We don't even need this agency. Hint, hint, the Department of Education. How do we ever reduce the size of federal government if President Trump is not allowed to terminate some of these employees, to eliminate some of these agencies? It's like our government is self-perpetuating. If the president does not have that authority. 800-655-6453. Send me a quick note on the MyPillow text line. Hey, quick reminder, too, that the Mike Gallagher Show, we're not just on the radio anymore. You can watch us live on the Salem News Channel as well, and I hope that you will, wherever you watch streaming services. It's going to be a busy day, and I'm so happy that you're with me on this as we head into this Memorial Weekend. I'm Joey Hudson, in for Mike today.
Mike Gallagher.
Free Speech Friday!
Yes, it is Free Speech Friday. 800-655-MIKE, 1-800-655-6453 is how your voice can be heard as we head into the Memorial Weekend. I'm Joey Hudson, in for Mike today. Portions of today's show made possible by Job Creators Network. Last November, 77 million Americans made President Trump our 47th president. No issue on the ballot was more important than the economy. The Biden administration had driven up the cost of everything, from eggs to gas to everything. And they drove down the standard of living for hardworking Americans like you and me. Voters remember Trump's economy from his first term. They wanted to forget Joe Biden's. What drove the economy in Trump's first term was the Tax Cuts and the Jobs Act of 2017, which lowered taxes on hardworking Americans and 30 million small business owners. An explosion of growth followed in every aspect of American life. Wages went up for everyone. Inflation and unemployment dropped to record lows during the Trump 1.0. Small business owners invested in their businesses and their people. More jobs. And the stock market rose to record levels as well. Which is why I'm asking that you go to taxcutsnow.com. Send a letter to your representative in Congress demanding that they make the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act permanent. No more delays, no new taxes. Go to taxcuts.com now. That's taxcutsnow.com and let Congress hear from everyone of what we want. Texter on the MyPillow text line. Hey, Joey, I had to get a small business loan during COVID, not a grant, it was a loan, that I'm paying back with interest to keep my business afloat and not to fire anyone. This was only needed because of what our government decisions were, so I have no sympathy for government employees losing their job. I get that. And again, these are not just the two that are in question who have sued the Trump administration. They're not just any jobs. These are heads of departments, people who shape the policy of those departments. And if they're loyal to Joe Biden, they're certainly not going to try to make the improvements and to make the cuts that President Donald Trump wants to. I mean, these are like political appointees. 800-655-6453. Back to, let's go to the phones, since it is Free Speech Friday. Let's start with Ray, who is in Maryland. Welcome, Ray. You're on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Hi, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Well, loud and clear. What's on your mind today?
Good. I just wanted to make a comment. I really appreciate it. To anyone on the air that wants to hear the truth, I know what the truth is. One, I'm a born-again believer, and the Holy Spirit tells me what the truth is, and truth only comes from God. First of all, President Trump is in office because the Lord put him there. The Bible says very clearly that he raises up one king and tears down another, and he puts one man in a position of authority, and he takes another out. It's right there. It says he is the one that rules over the kingdoms of men. It cannot be expressed greater than that. But anyway, I wanted to make a comment under God and his authority. You know, this open border thing, you know, there was more to it than just a total asinine, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Move by the people that ran I'm not judging anybody. The Bible says not to judge any dignitaries or anything. I'm going to call it a spirit that ran our country for the last 4 years. But there's more to it than that. And the Lord showed me what it was. Did you ever notice that how many, and I'm not speaking against the people, so it's a very articulately crafted evil. You have to understand what's going on. I'm not speaking against illegal, undocumented immigrants. I am not speaking against them. You see, but as soon as you open your mouth and you mention that, oh, you can't say nothing. Isn't it the First Amendment?
Yeah. The Bible also talks about following the law of the land, right? That's the thing with the illegals. They have already gotten off on the wrong foot, so to speak, because they broke a law to get into our country to begin with. Appreciate your phone call, 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. And, hey, look, I'm all about the truth that you're talking about as well. Alex is in, is it Mountain View, California?
Yes, thank you very much for taking my call.
Sure thing.
Just had two comments about Memorial Day. The first is too often we remember only those soldiers who fought in the just wars, like the Second World War. But I want us also to remember the soldiers who died unnecessarily in the unjust wars, like the Iraq War.
Yeah.
And my second comment is I want us to remember how unjust these wars, like the Iraq War, was, because the soldiers died. The families are suffering even now to this day that their lives are sacrificed for nothing. And those people like Condoleezza Rice and the others who architected that war, their careers are never affected. She's now director of the Hoover Institute.
Yeah.
So I want to.
Well, and look, none of us want war, and we're going to probably be debating that to the end of time. But I do agree, and thank you for the reminder for us to remember the true meaning of Memorial Weekend. It's not just about barbecues and going out on the lake and going to baseball games and that type of thing. It is to remember the men and women who sacrificed, who gave their life for our freedom so that you and I can come together on the Mike Gallagher Show and say what we want to. Freedom of speech, our liberties. Appreciate your phone call. 800-655-MIKE. Joey Hudson in for Mike today.
The Mike Gallagher Show on Salem News Channel and the Salem Radio Network.
When you talk about the economy, this is Joe Biden's economy, and we inherited $2 trillion of debt, the highest peacetime deficits in American history, a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, which fundamentally means we're not making enough of our own stuff. And the president came in and he said, this is not always going to be easy. It would have been very easy for Donald Trump to do what administrations past have done, which is borrow a lot of money and continue fueling the national debt. He said, no, we need a reset.
In the ReliefFactor.com studios, here's Mike.
Joey Hudson in for Mike on this Friday before Memorial Weekend. Glad to have you. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453 is how you join the conversation. Interim U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., Jeanine Pirro, announced murder charges against 31-year-old Elias Rodriguez, who is accused of killing 2 Israeli embassy workers in cold blood on Wednesday night in the name of Free Palestine. It was a gruesome murder. Rodriguez is a resident of Chicago, Illinois. He's been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder for the murders of this young couple. Pirro announced the charges at a news conference yesterday, saying, quote, a young couple at the beginning of their life's journey about to be engaged in another country had their bodies removed in the cold of the night in a foreign city in a body bag. We're not going to tolerate that anymore. Here's Judge Jeanine at her news conference yesterday announcing the charges.
2 families now are left to grieve for dreams that will never be realized. And as I speak right now, there is an individual who is being presented in court and charged with various crimes. 31-year-old Elias Rodriguez of Chicago, Illinois, is now charged by complaint after his initial appearance before U.S. Magistrate Judge Matthew Sharbaugh with the following: murder in the first degree for the murder of 30-year-old Yaron Levshinsky, a foreign official and official guest of the United States. Mr. Levshinsky was here on official business for the State of Israel. The defendant Rodriguez is also charged with 2 counts of murder in the first degree for both Yaron Levshinsky along with 26-year-old Sarah Lynn Milgram of Kansas. In addition, there are several felony firearms charges for discharging a firearm in the middle of a violent crime and for causing the death of an individual through the use of that firearm. Now, this investigation is continuing, and as you can see, we have most of the stakeholders here today who will be given an opportunity to speak with you. But what I want to be clear about today, since this is the first time you're hearing from me, is that this is a horrific crime, and these crimes are not going to be tolerated by me and by this office.
That was Ms. Pirro yesterday announcing the charge. In addition to the 2 murder charges, Rodriguez was also charged with felony firearms charges. Pirro said that Rodriguez's case is the type that picks at old sores and old scars because it reminds people of what has happened in the past. Although charges were announced less than 24 hours after the crime occurred, the crime is being investigated as a hate crime and an act of terrorism. Pirro noted that additional charges may come as evidence warrants. Now, Elias Rodriguez could also face the death penalty if convicted, according to an unsealed FBI affidavit. He's 31 years old. He's been charged with the murder of foreign officials, a federal capital offense, along with multiple firearm-related counts and 2 counts of first-degree murder. If convicted, again, he could face the death penalty. This was just a gruesome act. Yesterday, authorities raided his apartment in Chicago to search for additional details that could lead them to why this happened, what he had planned to do, when he had been planning it, if he had planned others. The Metropolitan Police Department in Washington said yesterday, too, that it's, of course, increasing its presence at religious institutions across the city of Washington. The department said in a statement posted on X, MPD mourns the loss of Yaron Lisinski, Sarah Milgram, and we send our condolences to their families and friends. We stand shoulder to shoulder with the Jewish community and everyone impacted by last night's tragedy. Also, according to an additional report release, Rodriguez appeared to show no remorse for his actions, firing several times after the initial shots were fired. According to witnesses there, after he had shot this young couple, they both were on the ground, he went back and fired additional rounds into their bodies to make sure that they were dead. I don't know how you feel about the death penalty, but this is a case where it would be appropriate. You agree? 800-655-6453, 800-655-MIKE. Your comments are welcome on the MyPillow text line. Give me a quick call. Teresa will put you in queue. We'll talk as time permits. Speaking of the MyPillow text line, Mike Lindell still has some great deals heading into the Memorial Weekend. Gallagher and I went up to the MyPillow plant a couple of weeks ago. It's just amazing what they do. These are hard-working folks who work for MyPillow. And as you know, they've been under attack. The big box stores have canceled them. This is the time for us to rally behind a patriot like Mike Lindell and support his company, but also getting good products. The MyPillow products are just amazing. The Giza Dream Sheets, the sale's still going on. As you know, Mike has a passion for helping everyone get the best sleep of their life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. They look, they feel great, which means an even better night's sleep. I promise you. In addition to Mike Lindell's guarantee, you have my guarantee that they're the softest, the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own. And they're very affordable now. Mike is offering the best deal on Giza Dream bed sheets ever. Any size, any color, just $49.98, but you do need to use promo code MikeG. So go to MyPillow.com. You can call 800-928-6034. Have your credit card ready. Make sure they understand you're using promo code MikeG to get this great deal. You can even get kings, queens, split kings, cow kings, any size, any color, $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. And you get a free multi-use MyPillow 2.0 and a USA Revival Roll and Go cover with any purchase. That's a $39.98 value, absolutely free with any purchase. Go right now. Stop what you're doing. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-928-6034. Let them know up front that you're using promo code MikeG because you want the very best product. While you're there, look at the other products too. Look at the towels. They're the best towels you've ever owned either. They're soft, but yet they're absorbent. How many times have you paid a lot of money for towels, but they just weren't absorbent? That's not the case with the MyPillow towel. So MyPillow.com, always use promo code MikeG. It is Free Speech Friday, something I love to do on Fridays. Whatever's on your mind, I'm all ears. Whatever you want to talk about, we'll talk about. 800-655-6453. Let's go to James, who's in Delaware. Welcome, James.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful.
I hope you don't mind. I've got you. I've been waiting, and I kind of cross subjects. My first comment is on Trump. I believe what he's doing now is something he didn't do the first time. The first time in his presidency, he depended on the experience of the people already in, and he left them in there.
Yep.
And he had moles. He had leaks. He had all kind of problems. It was unbelievable. This time, he's taking the bull by the horns and he's cleaning house and he's getting them out of there. I'm glad to see it.
Yep. Well, and look, Donald Trump learned a lot from his first term. And, yes, we would have loved to have seen him win in 2020. Hindsight, though, James, I'm almost thinking that was probably somewhat of a blessing. He's had 4 years to prepare for this 4 years. And, boy, he came in locked and loaded, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He came in ready to go.
Yep. James, appreciate your phone call. Have a great Memorial weekend. 800-655-6453. George is in Georgia. Welcome, George.
Yes. Thank you. I called because America is, I'm a Christian, and I'm a prophet, and I meditate day and night in the word of the Lord.
Yep.
And America is under a great deception, and the president of the United States is the son of perdition, written of in the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel. And unless America repents and turns from their wicked ways, those who follow this great deception will receive the mark of the beast.
So quickly, hey, George. So quickly, George, tell me what you mean by the spirit of deception.
They're under the strong delusion. They're under that spirit that the Lord will send out, the strong deception of those who follow the son of perdition.
Yeah.
And Mr. Trump is the son of perdition. The Lord revealed that to me. Yeah. I meditate day and night.
Well, George, look, I certainly respect your prayers. I respect your faith. I happen to believe that God certainly was watching over our country. He certainly was watching over Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania last year when he spared his life. And I think he spared his life for a reason, and that was because we needed Donald Trump in the Oval Office. David is in Montana. Welcome, David.
Thank you for taking my call. Thank you for being a voice of reason. I have an off-the-wall thought about the death penalty. When we think about justice, in my opinion, it's protecting the victim and punishing the perpetrator.
Yep.
And when it comes to corrective action, unless there's serious consequences, it doesn't change behavior. Yep. I understand the death penalty is a real serious thing. But victims who are put in fear for their lives in the commission of crime will never get over that. So to increase restraint, to encourage restraint, we need to really consider if a perpetrator puts the victim in fear for their life, they have a trial. If they're convicted and found guilty, 7 days after that ruling, they're publicly executed.
Yeah.
That gives a great encouragement for restraint.
Yeah. I agree, David. It takes way too long sometimes for the death penalty to be enforced, appeals and all. Which leads me to a story here in the Palmetto State, my home state of South Carolina. Coming up, I'm going to tell you about a death row inmate who is telling the judge, asking the court to let him fire his lawyer, represent himself, because he's ready to be put to death. He doesn't want to delay it further. That and much more coming up on the Mike Gallagher Show. I'm Joey Hudson, in for Mike today. Yes, it is Free Speech Friday. Joey Hudson in for Mike today. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453 is how you join the conversation. You can text me on the MyPillow text line. Your phone calls are welcome. Teresa will put you in queue. We'll talk as time permits. Email me direct, joey@joeyhudson.com. And let me invite you to join me weekdays for my podcast, Just the Truth. Just search for Joey Hudson, Just the Truth, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'd love to have you join me. All right, I need your help here. Mike left me in charge today of our Angel Tree Camp Drive as we get ready to go into the Memorial Weekend. Let's get in the spirit. Let's get in the giving spirit. Let me invite you to join other listeners who have already made generous donations to our annual Angel Tree Camp. We're sending children with a mom and dad in prison for a week of fresh air activities like swimming and horseback riding. But most importantly, and this is truly the most important part of this, is they'll hear the gospel, some of them for the very first time. And many of them accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior at the Angel Tree Camp. You and I have the power to actually change lives here and really transform a child's life for eternity through the nonprofit Prison Fellowship. Steve Collins of Angel Tree Camp offers this reason on why you should help a child that you probably have never met.
Because when you invest in the life of a child and you give them an opportunity to experience the reality of who God is and what his love does for their lives, and you pour that investment into that child's life, you're not just reaping benefits this year, but you're changing the course of their life. You've got kids that are growing up and establishing their own families and contributing to society, and you're shaping the future of our nation. And there's no better place to invest your money.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I'm inviting you to help us out, to join Mike Gallagher's annual effort to send deserving children with a mom or dad in prison to the fresh air, fun, and gospel-centered activities at an Angel Tree Camp near their home. Prisoners' kids are some of the most vulnerable children in America through absolutely no fault of their own. They're at risk because their mom or dad is in prison. We have a banner up at MikeOnline.com. It's real easy to see right across the top of the page. When you click on it, you can be among our listeners to join this campaign. Your gift of $200 will help make it possible to send a kid to camp for an entire week. Just $200, this child goes to camp and hears the Word of God. A lot of Mike's listeners have been making generous gifts all week. Now it's your turn. As I mentioned, it only takes $200 to send a deserving child to Angel Tree Camp, and your gift in any amount will help. So go to MikeOnline.com, click on the Make a Difference in the Lives of Prisoners' Children banner, or you can call 888-206-2788, 888-206-2788. Thank you, and have a great Memorial Weekend. Please give generously. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. I'm Mike. I'm in for Mike today. I'm Joey Hudson, actually. We're going to have a lot of fun on this Free Speech Friday. Glad that you're joining us. And I'll get back to more of your phone calls. Keep those coming. Emails to joey@joeyhudson.com, because we have a lot of breaking news today. We're going to get to all of it. Coming up, a prisoner in South Carolina says he's ready to die. He's on death row. He wants to stop all appeals. That and much more coming up on the Mike Gallagher Show. I'm Joey, in for Mike.